All right, so let's get started. So today we'll be talking about current, electric current, resistance, and Ohm's law. Let's begin with the EMF. What is EMF? You have seen you have seen a battery, right? So battery, let's say, I don't know, this is the battery of the car. You have a big battery like this in the car. Or you have seen the dry cell, right? Like double A, triple A, that kind of thing. This is the dry cell. And whatever the battery be, or either this kind or that kind, it has plus and minus. So plus, this is the raised button. In this case, that's the plus terminal. And the other one is negative terminal. Okay. So this is how you represent. Instead of drawing like this, or like this, or like that, so this is much difficult. This is more difficult, right? So this is difficult to draw. That's why you simply replace this guy by plus minus like this. Instead of drawing this whole thing like this, you simply replace that guy by this thing here. You simply indicate plus and minus. You have two lines, one the bigger, which is a plus, and the other one is smaller line like this, which is minus, okay? So this is always the case. So plus is the bigger line, longer line, I would say. The longer line is plus and the shorter line is minus, okay? Similarly, same thing here. Instead of drawing this battery, this kind of battery, you just have plus and minus, okay? Now we are going to define the electromotive force of this electromotive force, okay? In short, we call it EMF. EMF. So EMF. Electromotive force, EMF. In short, we call EMF. What is electromotive force? So within a battery, we have the a chemical reaction occurs. Okay, within this guy, there is a chemical reaction. Okay, so due to that chemical reaction, electron get transferred from one terminal to the another terminal, meaning from minus to plus. The electron move from minus to plus. Similarly here, minus to plus, this way, minus to plus. So due to the chemical reaction, okay? Now the maximum potential difference across the terminal is called electromotive force. So when you buy the new battery, when you go to some store, right, and buy a battery, a pack of batteries, then, so let's say in this kind of battery, what do you see there? What is the voltage there? Oh, I think 1.5 volt, right? Not 3 volt. Guys, am I correct? Help me here. You see 1.5 volt, right, in this kind of battery? Okay. So when it is new, the voltage between this plus and minus terminal, when it is new, okay, that is 1.5 volt. So when you use them, when you use the battery, then 1.5 volt becomes 1.4. Then 1.4 becomes 1.2, and so on and so forth, and goes down to all the way to below zero, all the way to zero. And in this case, we call the battery is dead. Now you can toss it. So this maximum here, this maximum potential difference across the terminals is called EMF. Okay, this 1.5, which is the maximum, is called EMF. Does it make sense? Now let's talk about the current, electric current. Okay, electric current, or simply we call it current. Not the wind current or water current. Okay, this is electric current, meaning the current due to electricity. Okay, so electric current is the amount of charge per unit time passes through a surface that is perpendicular to the motion of charge. Let's say these are the charges. How many charges you see here? Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this case, 5. But there are millions of charges here, right? All right, so these charges are moving from left to right, in this case, left to right. Imagine there is a surface here. This is the surface here. See the pink one, this oval, pink surface. This surface is perpendicular to the flow of the charge, meaning this angle is 90. This angle is 90. This angle is 90 here. See this angle? Okay, this is 90. So similarly, this angle is 90 here. This angle is 90. Okay, so this angle is 90. So if this surface is perpendicular, okay, that's important. A surface that is perpendicular to the motion of charge. Okay, so how many charges are passing through this surface in 1 second? Or in other words, how many charge or amount of charge, I would say, amount of charge per unit time. Means in 1 second, how many charges, how much charge is passing through this one in 1 second. Look at your clock, right? And count 1 second. In that 1 second time, how many charges pass through that surface? That is called current. Okay. Now, instead of just doing it for 1 second, what you do is you count it for, let's say, okay, the amount of charge in, let's say you call, 1 second is very difficult to measure, right? So let's say 5 seconds. In 5 seconds, so how many charge pass through that perpendicular surface? Let's say in amount of charge passes through that perpendicular surface in 5 seconds is, let's say, I don't know, 2 coulomb. Okay, 2 coulomb, let's say. This is just hypothetical number because 2 coulomb is too big number, right? So in 1 second, how many charge pass through that? Help me here. Guys, I need your help. Please, in 1 second, how much charge does passes through this? In 1 second, 2 coulomb over 5, 2 over 5 coulomb, right? It's like in $5, you get 10 mangoes, right? It's like that again. In $5, you get 10 mangoes. Okay, 10 mangoes. In $1, how many mangoes do you get? It's like that. Two mangoes, right? It's like that. So in 5 seconds, the total number of total charge passing through that area, this area here, which is perpendicular to the motion of charge, is 2 coulomb. Then in 1 second, how much charge does pass through it? 2 over 5, where 2 is charge and 5 is time. That's why we have the formula here. Charge over time, meaning 2 over 5 in our case. Charge is 2 and time is 5. That's how you get the amount of charge per unit time. Okay, that's called current, right? Then what is the unit of current? Charge is coulomb and time is second, right? Coulomb per second. In other words, coulomb per second is also called ampere. There's another name given to coulomb per second. That's called ampere. Okay, let's do one problem here. The current in 3-volt battery of a pocket calculator is 0.17 milliamp. M is milli, okay? Milliamp. In 1 hour operation, how much charge flows in the circuit? In 1 hour. So what is the Q? Charge means, see how much charge. So your Q is equal to I times delta T. If you multiply both sides by delta T, then you get I times delta T equals delta Q, meaning charge equals I times delta T. Does it make sense? Then what is your I? I is 0.15 milliamp. Milli, how do you do the milli? Milli is 10 to the negative 3, right? That's how you change it to amp. 0.17 10 to the negative 3 amp. Then what is the time? 1 hour. So how much is 1 hour? On 1 hour is 60 minutes, and in 1 minute there is 60 seconds. That's why 1 hour is 60 times 60 seconds. So when you multiply 60 by 60, then you get 3600 seconds. So if you multiply these together, you get the total number of total charge passing through that in the calculator circuit. Does it make sense? Okay. Now, how much energy does the battery deliver to the calculator circuit? So remember, energy equals QB. Do you remember this from previous chapter? E equals work done equals to energy equals QV. If you remember this formula from the previous chapter, E equals, or energy, this E is energy, by the way, okay? Energy equals QV. So in this case, what is Q? Q is 0.61 times B. What is your B? 3 volt. That's what it is. If you multiply this together, then you get 1.8. What is the energy, unit of energy? Joule. So to measure the current, you have to use the device called ammeter. Ampere is the unit of current. Ammeter is the device that measures the current. Okay. Suppose you have the circuit like this, right? You have the circuit like this. Okay. So the current is flowing through this circuit. This is plus, the other one is minus. So if you want to measure this current in this circuit, right? Current, this is plus. Okay, this is the minus of the battery. Now the current flows this way. Remember, current always comes out of the plus and goes to the minus. This is always true, okay? Now, if you want to measure the current in this circuit, this is the circuit you want to measure the current. Then where do you put the ammeter device? You have to break it here, right here, break it. Okay, you have to make like this. You have to break it here and here, 2 points. And at those 2 points, you have to connect a device. In this case, I call it digital ammeter. Okay, ammeter, which is digital. That's how you measure the current. Now, how are the voltage? See, remember, we had the current and voltage. See, in this problem also we have the voltage here, and you have the current here. Okay, we know how to measure the current because you have to break the circuit and put the ammeter there. Now, how do you measure the voltage? So to measure the voltage, let's say, if you want to measure the voltage across this resistor, means here and here. If you want to measure the voltage between this point and that point. Okay, so let's say this is A point and the other one is B point. If you want to measure the voltage between A and B, then how do you do the measurement? For the current, you just break it here, make two points like this and that, and you do the measurement. For the voltage, you don't have to break the circuit. You can, you don't have to, just put the voltmeter between these 2 points. Okay, this kind of combination is called parallel. Okay, this kind of combination is called parallel combination. P-A-R-A-L-L-E-L. So voltmeter is connected in parallel. See, this voltmeter and this resistor, they are in parallel. Okay, but in this case, okay, the same current passes through the resistor and the ammeter. Okay, suppose the current here is 1 ampere. So this is 1 ampere current here. Then same 1 ampere passes through the ammeter and comes back here again. It's the same current. That's why This ammeter is said to be connected in series. In this case, we call the connection is the series, S-E-R-I-E-S. So ammeter is always connected in series. Voltmeter is always connected in parallel. All right, so whatever we call current is actually conventional current. Okay, so I said the current comes out of the plus terminal, right? And the current passing through this device, it ends at negative terminal. That's what I said before. That kind of current is called conventional current. That kind of current is called conventional current. What is conventional current? Is a hypothetical flow of positive charge. Conventional current is the hypothetical flow of positive charge that would have the same effect in the circuit, okay, as the moment of negative charge that actually does occur. So what happens in the device is actually negative electron flows from negative this terminal. It flows out like this. Okay, the negative current flows, negative electron flows like this way. But what we say is the current flow from plus here. That's what you say all the time. You never say this. You never say this flow. We never talk about this flow. We only talk about conventional flow. So in the beginning, that's what scientists would think, okay? But later they found out that it's not the positive charge that moves, or the electron moves, right? But they didn't want to change the book, so I don't know. So they call it conventional current now. Even though it is the electron that flows, but we take the conventional current, which is hypothetical flow of positive charge. But that would have the same effect in the circuit as the flow of negative charge. We'll have the same effect, but the only thing is, we consider the positive flow of positive charge. Now let's talk about the next one we have to talk about is the resistance. Resistance R is defined as the ratio of voltage and current. Remember we talked about voltage, voltmeter, right? By the way, this is called voltmeter, right? This is voltmeter. Voltmeter gives me the voltage V, and ammeter gives me the current I. So you have B and I. Okay, if you divide B by I, what do you get? Okay, you get constant. Okay, if you divide voltage by I, current, then you get a number, constant number. That's called R, which is called resistance. Resistance R. Okay. So why do you call this resistance? Because this resists the motion of the electron in the circuit. So for instance, if you look at the filament bulb, right, then you'll see this coil part, right? This kind of coil. Okay, this is the resistance. Okay, this is the resistance. Okay, R. All right, so this is constant. B over I equals constant. Okay, so how can you write this one here? So can I write if I multiply both sides by I, what do I get? On the right hand side you have Ri. On the left hand side, what do you have? Because you are multiplying both sides by I. So this I and I cancel out, then equal B equals IR. Okay, this relation is called Ohm's law. So what you'll be doing here is this. So you'll make the chart like this. In the lab, this is what you'll be doing. Okay, you have the table like this. You have B here. You have I here. You'll make the table like this in the lab. Okay, so like this one. Okay, by the way, you can change the voltage here. Okay, Suppose your voltage is 2 volt. In the beginning, your voltage is 2 volt and the current is 1 MA. Later you have to change it to amp, okay? So let's say your current is 2 volt. When the voltage is 2 volt, the current is 1 milliamp. Okay, so this one is 2 volt. When you have 2 volt battery here, the current here is 1 milliamp. If you increase to, let's say, 3 volt, what will happen? Your current will increase to 1.5, I don't know, 1.5 milliamp. Does it make sense? Then if you increase to 5 volt, here, you keep on adding battery here. Keep on adding battery, or you will have the device that you can change the voltage without changing the battery, okay? You just slide something, okay? Suppose you have something there, you can simply slide this guy. Okay, you just slide this guy and you can change the voltage. So from in the beginning, we make 2 volt and slide this guy a little bit, then make it 3 volt, and slide this guy a little bit, make it 5 volt. That's how you change the voltage, okay? 2 volt, 3 volt, 5 volt. In the 2 volt, you have the current equals 1 milliamp. In the 3 volt, you have the current equals 1.5 milliamp. Now in the 5 volt, you have, let's say, 2 milliamp. So if you have, I don't know, 7 volt, right? Let's say your current is 2.5 milliamp. Then, okay, then you can draw the graph here, right? You can draw the graph. So I in the x-axis and V in the y-axis. Remember, you can make the graph like this. Now, where does 2 and 1 go? 1 and 2. I don't know. This is 1. This is 2. This is milliamp, right? And this is 2, 4, 6, 8. So how do you plot this 1, 2? 1 milliamp. 1 milliamp on the x-axis. 1 is here. And what is the voltage here? 2 milliamp. 2 voltage here, right? This, you have a point here. Like this. This is the first point. First point from here. This gives you first point. Now, second point is 1.53. 1.5 is right here, right? See, between 1 and 2, 1.5. Then 3 volt somewhere here. That's your another point. Then you have 2 and 5. 2 is here. And 5 is, I don't know, here. See, similarly, you get the point here, right? Do you see the graph here? So from this graph, now you try to make the straight line here. Try to connect as much as possible. You could have, I don't know, other point could be here. The next point could be here. How many points we have? 4. I don't know. You can make another point here. 9 and 3 milliamp, right? Now you have total of 5 points here, like this. Now you draw the straight line passing through all the points. But it looks like you cannot have a single straight line here, right? So try to get a straight line that goes from the middle of everything. Like this. From the middle of everything. Now you got the straight line. Okay? Now, what is the slope of this straight line? How do you find the slope? How do you find the slope of this straight line? Remember, rise over run. This is your rise. Make any triangle. Make any triangle. You could make, you know, a smaller triangle also like this. But that triangle should be right triangle, by the way, okay? So make any right triangle of any size. Then you divide rise by run. If you divide rise by run, then what do you get? You get a number. That number is R. Resistance. That number is R. Resistance. Resistance R of the circuit. So what is the unit of R? So is the unit of R is B over I, right? Voltage over amp. So B over A In other words, B over A is simply called ohm. And this is the symbol for ohm, okay? This is omega, right? This is omega, Greek letter omega, but we call it ohm because, so we honor this sign, this ohm, because this law is Ohm's law, right? Okay, let's find the resistance here in this problem. So the filament in the light bulb is a resistor in the form of a thin piece of wire. So as I said earlier, this is the thin piece of wire. The wire becomes hot enough to emit light because of the current in it. The flashlight uses two 1.5 volt batteries to provide the current of 0.4 amp in the filament. Determine the resistance of the glowing filament. So it's very straightforward. We know R equals V over I, right? So we know R equals V over I from this, right? Which is Ohm's law. You simply plug in the value of B and I. So B is, what is V? Help me here. How do you get 3 volt here? 2 1.5 battery, right? So 2 1.5 battery gives me 3. So that's my V. And what is I? I is 0.4. So if you divide that, you get, if you divide 3 by 0.4, you get 7.5 ohm. Now I'm trying to talk about resistance and resistivity. So we know what resistance is, right? Resistance is defined as the resistance to the flow of current, which is R, right? Now we have the similar quantity called resistivity, which is denoted by rho. Remember, density also denoted by rho. So in this case, our rho is not density, rho is resistivity. So what is resistivity? Resistivity is given by this equation here. R equals rho L over A. Okay. So this is how the resistance and resistivity connected. This is resistance, this is resistivity. They are connected like this. So R equals rho times L over A. What is L? Suppose you have a wire, right? You have a wire. What is the length of the wire? L. That's your L. Then what is the area of this wire? Area means this is circle, right? Remember this circular wire? This is your area. So A is the area of the cross section of the wire. And L is the length of the wire. So resistance is equal to resistivity times length divided by area. That's the formula you get. Does it make sense? What is this guy telling me is the resistance increases as L increases. That's what it says. See, R equals rho times L over A, meaning L and R, they are directly proportional, right? Directly related like this. R proportional to L. And R is inversely proportional, means indirectly related to A. So what is the meaning of these two relations here? So what I meant is when L increases, well, when L increases, then resistance increases. That's the meaning. How about here? If A increases, then resistance decreases. So let's see whether that makes sense. So let's see whether this makes sense. Okay. If the length of the wire, so what is the resistance? How do you get the resistance? Resistance is the collision of electron with the atoms, right? Suppose there are atom here, this atom, and electron is coming here. Electron is coming. This is electron. So how do you get the resistance? Because the collision of this electron here, this is the electron, this collides with this atom, right? Similarly, then it passes through it, then it collides the other atom, then moves somehow and collides another atom. As the length of this wire increases, this collision happens again and again. Does it make sense? That's why resistance increases. Meaning, if the length increases, then collision of electron with the atoms increases. That's why resistance increases. Does it make sense? But how about the area? If the area, suppose this area is small, then you have more resistance. If the area is big, you have less resistance. So if area increases, you have less resistance. Look here, look at this picture here. I don't know this analogy makes sense or not. I'm trying to pick one example. So in the beginning, see, this guy can pass through the hole in second trial, right? What is the difference between first trial and second trial? In the first trial, the hole is small, means there is more resistance, because when area is small, look, when the area is small, you have more resistance, right? Does it make sense? When the area is small, there is more resistance. That's why in the first try, it cannot go through. Okay, because in the first of all, the area is small. That's why there is more resistance and it cannot go through. But the second trial, it breaks open the hole, right? And now the hole is bigger, meaning area is bigger. When the area is bigger, then there is less resistance. That's why this guy can pass through. Same thing happens with in the case of current also. So that's why R is inversely proportional to area. R is directly proportional to length. Now, if you combine these two, what do you get? If you combine these two, you get R proportional to L over A. Okay. Now, you want to replace this proportional, this is called proportional sign, by equal sign. You want to replace that by equal, this kind of equal. So if you want to do that, and then you have to add some constant there. Okay, that constant is rho here. Okay, that rho is called resistivity. So how do you define the resistivity? So let's talk about this now. So how do you define the resistivity? Resistivity, so this is your R, right? So from here, how do you define your rho? Multiply both sides by A, what do you get? Rho L equals
RA.
RA, right? So divide both sides by L. So what do you get? Divide both sides by L.
Rho equals RA over L.
Right. So then how do you define your resistivity? Resistivity, put your A equals 1. Put your A equals 1 and L equals 1. Then what do you get? If you have A equals 1, L equals 1, then what do you get? Rho equals A, rho equals R. Does it make sense? Simply put it like that. I have a reason for that, okay? So if you put A equals 1 and L equals 1, you get rho equals R, right? Now from here, you can define the resistivity rho. Now I'm going to define the resistivity from here. So resistivity is the R, okay? Rho equals R, okay? Resistivity is the resistance when A equals 1 and L equals 1. That's the definition of rho. Resistivity is the resistance offered by a wire of unit length and unit cross-section area. That's called resistivity. By the way, that resistivity is constant for a material. Like if you are talking about aluminum, what is the resistivity of the aluminum? 2.82 10 to the negative 8. And the unit is rho m. You can see this unit, right? Because R is rho, right? The unit of R is rho. What is the unit of A? Meter square. Area meter square, right? What is the unit of L? Meter, right? Then this 1 meter and 1 meter cancel out. Then what are left with? You are left with rho and M. That's the unit of resistivity, rho M, rho meter. Okay, so for aluminum, this is the value of resistivity. The unit is rho meter. Okay, so copper, you have this resistivity. You have gold, this resistivity. Iron, okay, this is constant, and it depends on which material you are talking about. Okay, it is constant. In the exam, you will be given the value of rho resistivity. Okay, let's do a problem. Okay, now instruction for the electrical lawnmower suggests that 20 gauge extension cord can be used for the distance up to 35 meter, but a thicker 16 gauge cord should be used for longer distances. The cross section area of the 20 gauge is this. Okay, this is meter square. Sorry, this should be meter square, right? The unit is wrong here. While that is 16 gauge, okay. Now, okay, 35. The extension core is 35 meter long. Okay, this is 35. Okay, what is the area of cross section of this extension core? So this is the area of cross section here. This is the area of cross section, and this area of cross section is 5.2 10 to the negative 7 meter square, by the way. Okay, this is meter square. So this is meter square. Then how do you find the resistance of this guy, 35 meter long wire? What is the resistance? Then we will do the second part, B. Okay, now don't worry about part B for now. So let's do the first part. Find the R, resistance, right? If I have to find the resistance. So what is the formula for resistance? Resistance equals rho L over A. So rho, what is the value of it? Is constant, right? What is this made of? Copper, right? So that's why we have to take the resistivity of the copper here, 1.72 10 to the negative 8. 1.72 10 to the negative 8. That's the rho. Then multiply by L. L is 35, right? That's L. Then divide by area. Area is 5.2 10 to the negative 7. That's the, if you multiply this guy together and divide by this guy, you get 1.2 ohm. Now let's do part B here. Then for the part B, you have the 75 meter of 16 gauge copper wire. What is the 16? What is the area of 16 gauge? Length is 75. Okay, this is 75 now. Length is 75. And what is the cross section? Help me here. This is the cross section, right? This is again meter square. Okay, sorry for the typo. So then what do you get? How do you get the resistance? Determine the resistance of that long copper wire. Again, the same formula. Your copper wire, that's why your rho does not change. It is constant. So copper is constant. So that's why we use same thing in both the parts, right? Part A and part B, we use the same value, 1.72 10 to the negative 8. Then what is the length of the wire in this case? 75, that's the length. And what is the area of this wire? 13 times 10 to the negative 7 meters square. If you do this calculation, you happen to get 0.99 ohm, which is almost 1 ohm. Now let's talk about the power. Okay, so what is power? As we know in mechanics, power is energy per unit time, right? Energy per unit time, that's the power, right? Work or energy. Energy is QV. See, this energy is QV. See that? That's your energy. Then divide by time. So what is your delta Q over delta T? I, that's my I, right? Then what are left with? V. If you multiply current and voltage, you get a quantity called power of the electricity. That's how you define the power. Power of the electric current is I times V. Okay. Okay, electric power. In other words, we call it electric power. This is your electric power. Now, if you use the Ohm's law, B equals IR. Ohm's law is B equals IR, right? So if you replace the V here, this V, if you replace this V by using this relation, what do you get? So I is I, right? This I is I. See, power equals I. Then this V is replaced by IR. Then what do you get? I times I squared, then R. That's another formula for power. Similarly, instead of replacing V, if you replace I from here, replace this I. What do you get from here? What is I? From here, what is your I? From this relation, I equals V over R. V over R, right? Okay. Then you replace your I here. I becomes V over R. See that? I becomes V over R. P equals I is V over R. Then you have another V, right? So then if you multiply this together, you get V square over R. Now you have three formula for power. P equals BI. That's formula number 1. P equals I square V, I square R, formula number 2. P equals B square over R, formula number 3. So you can use one of them, whichever, if you are given I and B, you use this formula. If you are given I and R, use this formula. If you are given V and R, use this formula to find the power of the electric power rather. Now let's find the power and energy used in flashlight. So we know these three formula, right? You have to use one of them. Okay, let's see what are given. So you are given I, current is given, voltage is given. Then how do you find the power? If I and V is given, then you can use this formula to find the power. P equals I and V, I times V. So A is done. Okay, A is done. P equals I times V, which is 0.4 times 3 equals 1.2 watt. Okay, power as the unit of watt, right? Then similarly, energy dissipated in the bulb in 5.5 minutes of operation. What is 5.5 minute? 5.5 minute into second. How do you do that? Multiply by 60. That's your time. Okay. So if you know the power, can you find the energy? So what is your power? Power equals energy over time, right? That's your power. Now, in our equation, power is I times B, right? In our problem, rather, power is I times B. So what I did here is I rewrite this equation like this, where left hand side is P, which is E over T. Then right hand side is IB. I did not change anything on the right hand side, just IB. Then how do you find the energy? So do you know IB? So if you know IB, how do you find the energy? Multiply both sides by T. If you multiply both sides by T, then you get E equals IB times T. So IB is power, right? We already have that. So this is your IB, 1.2. That's your 1.2. Then multiply by time, which is 330. Because if you multiply 5.5 by 60, you happen to get 330. So if you multiply this together, you get 410 to the, or 400. And what is the unit of energy? Unit of energy is joule. Okay, now we talked about just only one resistor, right? Only one resistor. And the property of resistor is called resistance, okay? So this is the only, there is slightly difference. Resistor and resistance. So the other one is resistivity, right? There are three things here. Resistor is a physical product. Resistor is the physical product. Resistance is the property of resistor, right? Then resistivity, right? So you also know that, right? So now so far we talked about register, only one register. Now we'll be talking about how to combine if you have more than one register. Like in the previous lecture, right? We talked about a series and a parallel. So we will do the same thing here. So series wiring means that devices are connected in such a way that there is same electric current through each device. Suppose if you connect this guy, this register, and that register in this fashion, then what happens is that whatever current passes through this branch will pass through this R1, also will pass through this R2. Suppose this is 5 amp, 5 milliamp, I would say, okay, because 5 amp is very, very, huge amount of current. So let's say 5 milliamp current passes through this branch here. Then same 5 milliamp passes through this resistor R1, and same 5 milliamp passes through this resistor R2. So if you have this kind of connection such that same electric current passes through each resistor, then this kind of connection is called series wiring. Okay, series wiring. That's what we call it. So in the case of series wiring, what happens is, so your volt, whatever voltage here, you get the summation of two voltage here. Suppose you have voltage V1 across this resistor, and you have the voltage V2 across this resistor. Suppose this is V, let's say this V is 5 volts, and this V1 is 2 volt. Okay, then what is your V2? Help me here. 3 volt, right? Because V equals V1 plus V2. 5 equals 2 plus 3. So now let's use the Ohm's law. If you use the Ohm's law, remember the same current passes through R1 and R2. So what is your V1? If you use the Ohm's law, V1 equals V equals I1 R1, right? V1 equals I1 R1. Okay, I1 R1. But I don't want to write I1 here, because when I write V2, I will have I2 R2, right? Because those I1 and I2 are same. I call it I, because we have a series, right? Whatever current passes through here, passes through here, passes through here. That's why my I1 and I2, I1 from here, I2 from here, they are equal to I. So that's why I call V1 equals I times R1. Similarly, V2 equals I times R2. So then you can factor out I from here, factor out I, then what do you get? I equals R1 plus R2. You can call R1 plus R2 equals RS. The way we did in the case capacitor. You can simply call this guy is RS. Where RS is, okay, where RS is R1 plus R2. If you have more than 2 resistors, then what do? You can find the RS by adding all them together. You could have, as you know, n numbers of, there could be n numbers of resistors. This kind of circuit is called series resistor, series wiring rather. Okay, this kind of wiring is called series resistor, series wiring. And in series wiring, we can add all the resistor like algebraically, right? R1 plus R2 plus R3, and we get the equivalent resistor. What I meant is, now if you want to replace both of them by one single resistor, let's say the I don't know. So what is the R2? R2 is, let's say, 3 ohm. And R1 is, let's say, 1 ohm, right? I don't know. So if you want to replace those two by a single resistor, then what should be the value of that single resistor? It should be 1 plus 3. Because RS is R1 plus R2, right? R1 is 1, R2 is 3. So that's why RS should be 4. Suppose you have 6 and 3, then how do you get the equivalent resistance? You simply add them together. Instead of having 2 resistors, you can replace these 2 resistors And you can simply replace that by one register of value 9 ohm, because 6 plus 3 equals 9. Okay. Now, what is the current in this circuit? So how do you find the current in this circuit? Suppose what is the voltage here? 12, V equals 12, right? Then what is the total resistance? Total resistance is 9. Then how do you find the current? See, find the current. Find the current. How do you find the current in this problem? Current equals Ohm's law, right? B equals IR. That's the Ohm's law. So how do you find your I from here? Divide both sides by R, which is V over R, right? That's your current. So do you know the value of V and R? What is V? V is 12, right? So plug in the value of V here, 12. Then what is R? 6 plus 3, which is 9. So that's your R, I, sorry. Then find the power in each register. So you have to find the power here and power here. How do you find the power? So you are given R, right? If you are given R, how do you find the power? Look at that. So what is the formula for R? Power. If you are given I and R, are you given I? Help me here. Yeah, we just figured out, right? So we figured out I, so you can use P equals I squared R. P equals I squared times R. That's your power. So what is your I? I is found from here, right? So let me give you the value. What is your I? 12 divided by 9, right? So 12 divided by 9 is I equals 1.33. Then you can use the formula for power, I square R, right? So I square meaning 1.33 square. That's what it is. Then for the first register, what is the R? 6. And for the second register, your R is 3. And I is same, right? Because it's a series. The same current passes through here, here, and here. Everything, everywhere, the current is same. That's why 1.33, 1.33. So it doesn't change. That's why this is the power 1, this is the power 2. I don't know. So this is 1, this is 2. So you have, so that's what you are supposed to find. Power dissipated in each register and the total power. Total power delivered to the register by the battery. What is the total power given by the battery? So total power is total power in this register plus power here. Meaning total power here is how much? 10.6. And total power here is 5.31. What is the total power given by the battery? This by battery. You have to add these two together, right? So that's what it is. 10.6 plus 5.31, which is 15.9 watt. Let's talk about parallel wiring. Okay, parallel. When you talk about parallel, this is what it means. Okay, so this is the parallel. Parallel meaning the devices are connected in such a way that same voltage is applied across each device. Meaning, suppose this is 3-volt battery, right? Look at the example. Look at the picture here. This is 3 volt. So 3 volt is connected to this register, and same 3 volt is connected to other register. Do you see that? Same 3 volt connected to this, same 3 volt connected to other one. Now they look like connected in, they seem to be connected in parallel now, right? These two guys, they seem to be connected in parallel. That's why this kind of connection is called parallel wiring. Okay. All right. Now in this case, what happens is now the current does not, current splits off here. So this can be written as this way. Okay, this is a little nicer, right? So these guys are A and B. They are exactly same picture, but B is nicer than A. Now this I, if this is the current I given by the battery right here, is the current I given by the battery, then I1 goes from R1 and I2 current goes through R2. This is what happens. In other words, I equals I1 plus I2. So this is some of the examples of parallel wiring in our house, right? So in our house, you get parallel wiring. Otherwise, if you do not do parallel, then each of the device will not get same voltage, right? So what is the parallel? Parallel meaning devices are connected in such a way that the same voltage is applied to each device. So your device wants same voltage, right? That's why you have to connect everything in parallel. If you connect in series, maybe this will, I don't know, this might use 100 volt and this might get just 20 volt. I don't know, 19 volt, and the bulb will get 1 volt. So the voltage divides up. So 120 divided into 100 plus 19 plus 1. That's not how you connect, right? Okay, that would be series. Okay. Now, if you connect in parallel like this in the picture, this is parallel, by the way. If you connect like this, then you get the same voltage everywhere. 120, 120, 120. This is parallel wiring. Okay. As we said, in the parallel wiring, I equals I1 plus I2, right? So what is the Ohm's law? So I equals V over R. That's my Ohm's law, right? Okay. So what will be I1? Because we know I equals I1 plus I2 in the parallel, right? Okay. So then what is your I1? I1 equals V1 over R1. Similarly, I2 equals V2 over R2. But instead of writing 1 and 2 here, I simply write V. Why? Because voltage across this guy and this guy are same, right? By definition. See? Same voltage, right? Same voltage is applied across each device. Same voltage. That's why I simply write V here. Instead of writing V1 and V2, I simply write I1 equals V1 over R1 here, or simply V. Similarly, I2 equals V2 over R2, or simply V. Then you have, what is the factor? You can factor out V. If you factor out V, what do you get? 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2. Then 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2, you can write this as 1 over RP. Because your I equals V over R, right? That's the Ohm's law. Okay. You cannot simply write V times RP here. You have to write V times 1 over RP, because your Ohm's law is not V times I equals V over R, not V times R. Your I is not V times R. Your I equals V over R in Ohm's law. That's why if you want to find I, you have to write V times 1 over RP, which is same as V over RP. So that's why 1 over RP equals 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2. If you have more than 2 resistors, then you can add like this. 1 over RP equals 1 over R1, 1 over R2, 1 over R3, add all them together.